Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful. When the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. It is the 13th. Sorry, just as I started. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. No, you can't hear it. It's cool. We're all cool. I was like, as soon as I started hearing something from the squawk on my ear and screwed up my intro. It's the 13th. Let's look at the action. I'm having a little issue with Jigsaw here. It's like my, well, you can't see it. The little spot behind me is like my tapes, my reconstructed tapes, like, are messed up. Like, what the heck? What's with this? So weird. It's so weird. Anyways. This one comes over here. Should be fine. Charts. Do the charts. Okay. So. E-mini here. Pretty good trend up. I thought, hey, they could hit the upside target 3170, but it was fairly range bound. I mean, yet last week was range bound. Let's not kid ourselves. Last week was range bound. Pretty good final day to end the week. Weekend a little bit higher. We are hearing some news about vaccines and things like that. The market likes vaccines. Also, I saw a longitudinal study about antibodies in which they stated that only like 30% of people maintained a potent amount of antibodies after like 3 months or something like that. So that was kind of interesting. Not necessarily the most positive thing, but that's kind of what's going on and pushing us higher. And then we have earnings. So I think this last little move here, oh, maybe not. Well, anyways, we got PepsiCo before the open, and I believe they already did their earnings. They were above expectations. Let me see if I can find it here. Pepsi, there it is. Revenue fell 3.1% during the second quarter. It was better than expectations. So they're up 2%. Pre-market trading. Oh, cool. Treasuries. What are the treasuries doing? So on Friday, treasuries came down quite a bit, and we're back to balance again. Cool. I think that is all in line. Oil coming down a little bit. There's some concern that they're going to start producing more oil again. So oil's down a little bit. Gold, gold's being gold. What can I say? It's always doing weird stuff. And what about the euro here? Euro versus the dollar. Well, the euro is just in a range still. Overall strengthening. We look at it more on a consolidated basis over here. Yeah, a little bit higher than we were on Friday. Dollar a little bit weaker, but not by a ton. Still above 96. So now if we come over here, where is my economic report stuff? Okay, so got a 6-month bill auction today in the treasuries, and we've got two significant central banking speeches. Fed's Williams and the Bank of England's Governor Bailey. It's a Monday. What can I say? Mondays aren't necessarily always the best trading, guys. So, how are you guys doing? Already 2 likes. Oh my gosh. Who did that? You're awesome. That's so great, guys. Thank you so much. Okay, should we fix Should we fix up our little tapes here, I think, first? Ooh. I don't know, my stomach is not feeling so hot today. Okay, so yeah, it looks like that didn't even save, but yeah, it didn't. I wonder what caused that. Okay, well, we'll just do them like this. CF. CN. ZB. Now, did it save the filters or anything like that? It doesn't look like it did. Nope, it didn't. Okay. So I don't know which sizes to put on there, to be honest. Don't remember anymore. Maybe I'll have to go back and do my studies. CF. ZN. No, it's not working. There should be orders coming through. Yeah, there should be orders coming through, and there's not. Curious. Very, very curious. Well, Pete, if you're watching, there's one for you. I opened up my tapes were all weird, and now I tried rearranging them, putting them on instruments and stuff, and but it doesn't work. They won't close. Do I get any errors or anything? No. Super weird. I'm gonna close Jigsaw. Gonna close it. Shouldn't miss anything. We can see it over here. Oh, Ryan the Great says, good morning, good morning. I didn't turn on the auto read. Let's do that. There we go. A little bit of a sell there. Apparently. Yeah, look, they all opened up over here. And I can't close them. The fuck? What the fuck? What the That is so bizarre. Wait, what is this? I don't know what that button does. Oh, it's a price clock. Oh. Oh. Hey, no, you know what? I know what's causing the problem. Oh my gosh. Oh, you know what? You know what? So this is a weird thing. Weird thing. My malware bytes. Yes, that's right. Malwarebytes thought that price squawk was a how do we put it? Malware. It thought that it was malware. I wonder if I make another one. Let's try adding one like this. ZF. Doesn't open. Detection history. Was it this one or was it? I guess not. There it is right there. See that? It thinks that price squawk restore. It's based on machine learning technology. Weird. Probably doesn't change anything. Probably have to restart. Oh, when I recreated it, that's when it creates a second one. Oh, effing weird. Okay, now let's close everything. It's clearly all my fault, right? Of course it's going to be my fault. Oh, Mondays. Ah. And now they open up where they're supposed to and they have the symbols loaded. And they work. Let's see them now. All running. Very interesting. Well, but it identified that as malware. Why did it think that price squawk how would it possibly come up with that? Well, that one clearly was. Oh, I don't know if that one actually was malware or not. Probably not. It seemed like a relatively. But if we just delete the installer, I think we're fine on that one. History. Oh, well, now that I removed it. Interesting. Well, anyways. Enough about that. Let us head over to the Twitters. Oh, no, wait. No, let's read more about Pepsi. Pepsi said that it would not be providing an outlook for fiscal 2020 at this time, citing the continued volatility and uncertainty surrounding the pandemic. Yeah, so their earnings are going to be incredibly uncertain, and then they're going to give us an incredibly uncertain forward outlook for the fourth quarter. Yeah, thank you. I bet you that's going to be a common theme, that they won't provide forward guidance. Earnings per share 1.32 adjusted versus 1.25 expected. Just shy of $16 billion in revenue. That's cool. It is a light start to the U.S. economic calendar. Let's see, our Forex Live has one for us. Yeah. Well, so this week it's actually relatively light on news overall. We got CPI on Tuesday, Wednesday Empire Fed, Thursday retail sales, Friday consumer sentiment. That doesn't show us the earnings. There's like Pepsi is the only major one today. Then tomorrow we start getting banks. Wednesday we get our buddies Goldman on Wednesday. Alcoa. Yeah, it'll be an important. It's an important week for earnings. Florida hits a coronavirus record. Now, this is an interesting one, is that we opened up higher over the weekend, and the numbers are looking pretty bad. But as we discussed last Friday, there are some models that are showing that we're reaching peak hospitalizations and that overall we're going to start seeing the number of new cases decreasing. And this is all just kind of like the fear and panic at the peak of infections. At least there's a number that, at least that's what Bank of America thinks. And a number of market participants, they seem to be suggesting that this is expected. We shall see. I'm going to be paying close attention to those numbers. But we're not going to get, So what could drive us throughout the day? And I'm not so sure. Might be tough trading. We might have to, yeah, I don't know. Well, let's just keep an eye out. Maybe we'll get some news that we can trade. Bum, bum, bum. Let's check Donald Trump first. Never in the history have police been treated so badly as they are in Democrat-run cities, and these cities are a mess. Police must take a stronger stand with the radical left politicians that are treating them so badly and so disrespectfully. Okay. Cat Turd tweets 83% of LA teachers vote to stay closed in the fall. But then they say that they want open schools unless charter schools are closed and police are defunded. Okay, whatever. That's California. What can you say? According to GS Prime Book, first net selling in 4 weeks. They also write driven by short sales, both macro products and single names. Emerging markets, Asia, China, and Europe were bought, while North America and Asia were sold. Well, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. There's money seems to be moving. We've been having a lot of money moving over from Europe for a long time, and it makes complete sense that we're going to see some of it move back to Europe now off of the coronavirus. Future Trader 71 saying this isn't good. I hope there's an extremely low mortality rate. Florida is now the global epicenter of the virus based on several sources. Yes. But again, don't think that that's unexpected. So Anthony Crudelity, the harder it takes to achieve something, the harder you'll work to sustain it and keep it. Because trading is so tough, and I found it taken away from me many times before is the reason why I became good at managing my risk. The market was my teacher for managing my risk. Paul Krugman, another indicator of our abject failure, per capita death rates in the U.S. is 10 times those of Europe's, and ours are rising while theirs are falling. Let's see. Deaths per million people. Well, we are higher than the aggregate European Union at the moment. Interestingly enough, though, that seems to be related to the overall number of cases that you're getting. Shouldn't the number of no. This is new deaths. This is a bullshit. Mr. Krugman is misleading us. This is a bullshit metric. He says rate. Oh no, wait. Does he say per capita death rates? This is not a chart of rates.
Cozy Knesset says the COVID saga is totally a lesson in torturing data.
Dude. What the hell, Mr. Krugman? Lies. Oh, come on, there's got to be more than that. I see 5.
Vincenzo C. says Seth has a BS indicator, proprietary.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put myself out on the line here. Let's see if he responds. How should we do it? Dot dot dot. We'll call him out here at the beginning. I'll just copy it from here. Make sure that I get it. There we go. This is not a rate. This is deaths per million people, not deaths per confirmed case. This is very misleading. Shame on you, Paul. Shame on you. Back to the Twitters. Today's guessing game. What will the new Washington Redskins name be? Oh, man. Well, I think that if I was them, I would want to keep it Indian. I just wouldn't call it Redskins, right? Anyways. Elon Musk set to surpass Larry Page and Steve Ballmer's net worth today. Gee. Okay, the whole thing with Tesla is getting a little crazy, especially since the Model Y, from what I'm learning, is not doing very well. The first run of it wasn't very good. They've had to bring the price down to sell it. People don't want it as much. And everybody is all gangbusters into Tesla. For what reason? No reason, as far as I can tell. Oh man, I think this is going to be another one of those. Well, when does Tesla earnings release? Quarter 2, 2020. July 8th. No, not that. It's not right. After markets close on the 22nd. Next Wednesday. I bet you them puts are like way hyper expensive. You guys want to look at what the puts are for Tesla? Let's go look. Do I still have it? We'll use Thinkorswim. How many versions behind am I? So the amount of the frequency with which Thinkorswim gets updated is pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. I'm just thinking back about the Paul Krugman thing. Of course, you would use deaths per capita, or of course, he would use deaths per 1,000 people or whatever it is, Because if you use death rates, which would be the number of deaths per confirmed case, because the United States has such good testing right now, their death rate is going to be lower than everybody else's. So he wouldn't be able to make any kind of a point about how bad it is. That is real, man. You're right. You're right, Uzi. I read it again.
Uzi Knesset says the COVID saga is totally a lesson in torturing data.
Totally is, dude. You watch this next week, because the number of confirmed cases is probably gonna taper off. End of this week, next week, they're gonna focus much more on deaths, because deaths is a trailing indicator. So they get to scare you twice, essentially. Oh, it's so sketchy. So sketchy.
Mike Salisbury says, "Hey Seth, can I ask you something about your volume profiles?"
Shoot. You guys should just
Uzi
ask
Knesset says,
questions.
don't
Don't
get
ask
me
me if
wrong,
you can
I wear
ask
my
me a
mask for
question.
the little bit I go out, and I'm taking my precautions, but I'd be remiss to say this entire thing is psychological political leverage right now.
It's very much turning into that. Well, I think there is one case, though, in which it's a bit more than that, Uzi, and that is the question of, do we open school back up again, right? Because if we open school back up again, we will see a rise in cases. I mean, there's no question about it. I don't know if it would cause a significant amount of deaths or anything like that. But there's a huge political football going around about whether or not we should open schools back up. And already, it's 2 months away. I'm sitting here and I'm like, dude, the whole situation is gonna be so different then. Why are we talking? Let's talk about that in a month. Okay, let's do some analyzation. TSLA. TSLA. Okay. 1600. And we want the ones that expire July 24th. July 20. Oh, well,
Uzi
man.
Knesset says, just think about this, bro. This is the first time in your life that illness and death data has been tracked, aggregated, and fed to you on a daily basis.
Hold on. Okay, so there's going to be a decision from the UK on Huawei and 5G soon, which I assume will be that you can't use. Oh, they're expensive, man.
Mike Salisbury says, "It looks like your ZB is RTH and ZN is Globix ETH. Any reason? I am wondering if I should set my bonds, notes profiles to ETH versus RTH, just interested in your input."
Yeah, so that's interesting. Let's check here. So I have, well, it's just set to CBOT. Hold on a second. I'll show you guys this over here. I don't know if ZN is the ETH, but the ZB is not.
Uzi Knesset says you can't name a single other illness or cause of death where the data is fed to you every day. To deny the psychological impact doing that has as naive, and a lot of people deny it.
Oh, totally. I think that any time that yeah, hold on a second. Okay, if I change it up here, does it? What does the profile end up being? No, I would like them all to be extended session. Okay, so that changed it. I think that the data may have just loaded weird there, Mike. But I prefer to use the extended session for the treasuries. Okay, why does that not center the same? Okay. Oh, that's so weird. Wait, what? They're the exact same height. Uh, they're the same font size. How is that? So weird. Why am I having so much weird
Vincenzo
behavior
C. says
today?
even the educated have difficulty understanding statistics.
Yeah, so I think that humans are not naturals at reading data, analyzing data. We just aren't. And the general public doesn't look at things in terms of like, okay, like here's a model and here's how we expect it to run, and then how wrong is our model. They're taught that, oh, these scientists, they know everything, and everything that they say about the number is going to be 100% correct. Right? So they're like, oh, okay, the scientists got this under control. Oh, wait, the scientists say that this is like really, really bad. Oh no, this is like way worse than the scientists said. Oh wait, that's actually not even half as bad as the scientists said.
Kenneth says we
It's
analyze
just
data every day and it doesn't yield much in terms of results. Imagine the normie general public who all became data scientists in the last 5 months. LMAO.
right. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these people have never looked at data like this before. Never. Like, just as an example, I have a lot of friends on Facebook, and they're looking at new cases and the number of new cases. I'm like, my mom wants to know how many new cases we had in Utah every day. Okay, but she has absolutely no clue, and honestly, they never say on the news. When do you expect to see peak number of cases? That would be kind of important, don't you think?
Uzi Knesset says that and the data is lagging, constantly revised and redefined. Could you imagine trading that data? LMAO.
Yeah. Well, and I've, the coronavirus data has been difficult to trade because the way that it gets reported keeps changing. It used to be, and I think you want to look at new cases. New cases is the leading indicator, right? So we get in, it'll be like a number of new cases
Vincenzo C.
compared
says
to the
even the
average.
term data mining, much less the meaning, is unknown to most, but most traders are familiar.
Anyways, I think you want to look at new cases versus like the 10-day average. And they started changing it. They were like, oh, okay, it's actually what we care about now is like the positivity rate. I guess that's one thing that would be important to look at. Or then they're looking at like the death rate instead. And I'm like, well, if you give me the death rate, that's not really useful.
Uzi Knesset says because it's a psyop, bro. COVID is real, so don't give me that hoaxer shit, but the reaction to it is 100% engineered.
Well, I don't want to say 100% engineered. I just think that media is trying to get clicks. So here's what you're going to see happen. Number of deaths is going to start increasing a little bit. There's going to be a huge focus on that. You already see Mr. Krugman here trying to make the case that, okay, yeah, the United States has more deaths because the pandemic has reached a greater percentage of the population than elsewhere. But when you look at the number of deaths per confirmed cases, it's going to be lower. Okay, so you're just massaging the data to give the message that you want. Once the media has done milking that one for the next 2 weeks, then they're going to turn to this heat wave that's about to come through, right? Because there's a huge heat wave developing here in the United States that is probably going to be here for a month or two, and it is going to be a very hot second half of July and August.
Sunday Driver says don't forget that the disease is political. They are spinning it so they can screw Trump.
Uzi Knesset says we don't need data on it, we need A, knowledge it exists, and B, precautions. The data does the general public absolutely no good. They know we'll fight over it, they know we'll shit ourselves over.
Okay, yeah, this is a good point too. For your average person, it's not really. For trading, I think it's an important information. I mean, if you want to know, is it going to get worse or are we through it or what the economic impact of it is? And I guess everybody is kind of interested in that now, but most people aren't actually reading it that way. Most people aren't saying, okay, well, based on this, I can modify my, third quarter growth estimate for this by this. Nah, they're not doing that, right? They're just going, oh no, there's 5,000 cases. Oh, panic, everybody. Yeah. This is EB. It's driving me. It's bothering me. It's bothering me greatly. There's nothing different about it. It just thinks that the center is somewhere else. So if I change that and change the center and then change it back, change the center. Oh, what the hell? Okay, well, I fixed it. Whatever. This is so freaking weird. Okay. So we were looking at Tesla stuff, right?
Uzi Knesset says that's why they told us no human transmission, no masks, stay inside, then human transmission, mandatory masks, go outside and protest. They've taken people back and forth on this.
Oh yeah. Well, no. I mean, the thing that's really crazy is
Uzi
Oh,
Knesset
hold
says,
on.
and the only thing that separates it from any other illness or cause of death is how staggeringly aware of it you are.
Well, it's not that. Remember, the reason that this virus is special is that a higher percentage of individuals get hospitalized for it. That's the key. That's the key thing, right? It almost, yeah. I think that the argument that it was engineered is starting to get stronger. And there was some stuff on the Steve Bannon was saying, I don't know, I don't really consider him reliable on this, but Bannon was saying that some Chinese defectors have come out and they're saying that it did escape from Wuhan. And it seems to me like what they're doing is they're trying to engineer the virus to put a strain on the healthcare system. I think that if I was going to do economic warfare with a virus, that's exactly how I would engineer it. So that's the thing that's different.
Uzi Knesset says, how can anyone make that claim though? Give one example of hospitalization data for any other illness or cause of death that you have as a reference point for comparison.
Sure.
Mike Salisbury says remember that CH article on this in like Jan or February.
Yeah, well, I think it was around March when people started to suggest that it was from the Wuhan place and that it just escaped. Anyways, I've also seen some other stuff though that they've actually found close variants to this elsewhere for a long time. So it's I don't know. I don't think they still know exactly. So you want to spend $100 for an option? For options? Well, so if the earnings ended up being bad, oh jeez, are you kidding me? They moved up that much on Friday? Nah. Wait. How far out can I go? I haven't used Thinkorswim in a while, alright?
Uzi Knesset says realistically, no one can say this is the worst because you have nothing to compare it to in all of history. Even CDC flu numbers are merely estimates.
Well, that's true. But even though the flu tends to be bad and can put a strain on our healthcare system, they've never completely maxed out ICU capacity. So that right there, we from that alone, we can tell that there is something unique about this virus and that a lot of people get hospitalized for it. Okay, so let's say 1,200.
Uzi Knesset says, how would you know? No one has ever tracked it.
Well, if ICUs were full, they would have known that for sure. Okay, so it's saying that we could get down to 1,200 even. Okay. Well, let's try 1,200. Oh no, we don't want to sell. Buy. Wait, is that right? Oh, there we go. Okay, that's what we wanted.
Vincenzo C. says I do know a retired medical profession relative was asked to come out of retirement to help, and I think that is something new.
Uzi Knesset says, but still, how would you know? For all intents and purposes, it's simply a matter of no one having ever reported on it. When ICUS started to get maxed in us and Texas, hospital officials were.
Yeah,
Uzi Knesset says, saying that ICUS running at that capacity was totally normal.
in Arizona, I don't think that they've gotten there. I think it's really Houston is the only place. And when that would happen in flu season, not in the middle of summer when disease tends to be low. Right? Anyways, that's what makes it special. Mm-mm. But what I was going to say is that the thing that is one of the things that is the most crazy about it is that they said, oh, you can go out and protest. Like, you know that it's
Uzi
going to
Knesset says
increase
that Vincenzo
transmission.
C. they're calling people out of retirement because in the early stages of the pandemic, they stopped elective surgeries and over 1 million healthcare workers were laid off.
Yeah. Well, and some of the
Uzi Knesset
capacity,
says, did everyone forget that?
some of the hospital capacity now has been that you had this huge flood of people coming in and then doing their elective surgeries, which is like, okay, wow. No, but it's just crazy that they were coming in and they said, "Oh yeah, you can go and protest." Like they never the honest thing to say would be you can go and protest if you want, but it's going to increase the transmission of the virus. That's the honest thing to tell people. And then afterwards they try and say, "Oh, well, it probably wasn't the protests that did it." Bull crap. Bull crap. You look at the incubation period and everything, it matches up completely. Hard to prove for cause and effect, but pretty obvious what's going on here, right? That part of why we're getting another spike is because of protests. And some of the states that are having the greatest increase are states that had some of the strongest protests. In fact, the only place that is having a lot of protests that isn't seeing a spike is New York and the Northwest. And, you know, those places have already been hit hard and are probably over the curve. So, come on. Like Utah has had a steady rise in cases. We were one of the places that opened up early, but we haven't had like this huge spike
Uzi
like
Knesset
these other
says the only
places.
reason New York isn't exploding is because their explosion already happened.
Yeah,
The same thing will happen to all the other states exploding.
sure. I wonder we don't really have good data on which states haven't exploded.
RJ Wheels says protesters were
Mm-hmm.
screaming over and over too. Scream spreading, but church choirs better lip sync.
Yeah, it's spread it totally, and they're trying to pretend like it didn't. Is just
Vincenzo C. says I admit
laughable,
confusion.
laughable. It's just laughable. It's what it is. I don't think that anybody is buying it either. Okay. Oh, you know what we need to do? We need to write. We need to write Pete. We need to write the Jigsaw guy an email. So I finally watched his webinar from last week.
Uzi Knesset says an in Debasio won't allow any gatherings except communist protests. That's telling as hell right there.
Oh yeah, and especially when the court already struck it down. Oh my gosh, cannot, unbelievable. Um, what's this?
Uzi Knesset says it's all bullshit. Wear your masks, wash your hands, keep your dick beaters off your face. That's it. Keeping yourself from getting COVID is no different from keeping yourself from getting. Uzi Knesset says anything else?
Well, so here's another thing that's going on that I think is kind of funny. Is we're getting a little bit of confirmation bias with the masks, which is to say that people think that there are more mask deniers out there than there actually are. What is happening is there are mask deniers out there, and they are an incredibly small subset of the population. Like, I'm talking like 1%. And this 1% is like becoming half of the conversation. So you go on Facebook, on my Facebook feed, and it seems like, oh man, there's so many people that don't want to go and that don't want to wear masks. And like, I see that all over my feed. But then when I actually go out, there was one spot where I forgot my mask and I felt so dumb because I didn't see a single person at the store that didn't have a mask.
Uzi Knesset says, I'll tell you, in my little area of FL, which is rapidly becoming a hotspot, apparently the boomers are the ones refusing to wear masks, and they're the most vulnerable, so whatever lol.
Vincenzo C says Trump's wearing a cool new black mask with an insignia. I want one.
I saw that they finally caught him in public with a mask, which is, there's a whole thing. I'm also seeing a lot of stuff about that the administration is pushing back against Fauci, which, to be honest, I think they should. So let me just give you an example of a place where I think that they've been irresponsible. Not irresponsible, but I don't know if this is just something to do with his personality or if he's trying to muck in the politics. But one of the things that they were coming out and saying was that there is no evidence that the temperature decreases the rate of transmissibility. Bullshit. I'm sorry. Why would this coronavirus be so radically different from like almost every other coronavirus? Like, we know that heat hurts coronaviruses. We know that because of the structure of the coronavirus, and we've tested this in the past. It's a lipid cell layer that cannot withstand heat very long or dry temperatures. Okay, Bailey is speaking now. Why would it be any different? But instead of taking the logical stance, which is that, well, this coronavirus is probably like all the others.
With it suddenly being airborne now, I guess people aren't scared enough for them. Straight up read an article making the argument that we should stop using air conditioners.
Right? So here you have a case. Yeah, that's exactly where I was going to go, Uzi. It's like, here you had a case where everything that we know about coronaviruses tells us that it should not transmit as much in the hot weather. And he takes the stance of, well, we don't have any proof of that. But then they're going and they say, well, it might be airborne when we don't really have any proof of that. Seriously? And I think that it is that he's just like, he's an egghead. So if we're going to blame it on his personality, I think it's that he's an egghead and that he feels the need to try and correct something every time because he's afraid of giving false information or something like that. And so the media kind of plays this game with it. And the thing that you always come out with is you get the greatest fear thing coming out instead of what is like the most likely case. You don't get an actual...
Bro, reacting to COVID the way we didn't react to every other pandemic that's happened in our lifetimes.
Well, yeah, but again, it's the hospitalization rate. If we had not shut down, then the hospitals would have gotten flooded. It would have been real bad. Even, well, like the funny thing is that we say Sweden didn't lock down. And Sweden is the herd immunity case, but not really. Sweden locked it down too. It's just people did it voluntarily instead of it being forced by the government. So we really don't have a good case. Maybe Brazil. Brazil is maybe a case of where you could say that they didn't, and that Brazil's probably not far enough along for us to make any conclusions off of. But, the swine flu. Swine flu is probably our best comparison. And there was a lot of concern over we didn't lock anything down, sure. But I don't think that the swine flu had the same hospitalization rate.
Uzi Knesset says, bro, do you know how many people I know who go to the ER for the common cold because they don't have health insurance or PCPS? How many people are going to the hospital for what they think is COVID?
Well, but that's why the metric that they use is ICU capacity, right? Because that says that they didn't just go to the emergency room to get treated. They went down there and they're like still in the hospital, recovering and getting a therapeutic treatment and maybe being put on a ventilator. I don't know. I do think it seems to me, remember there was all this stuff coming out of China. They were like, "Oh my gosh, it's so bad here. The Chinese government doesn't want you to know. But look at how awful it is here." And there's all these viral posts going around and stuff. Let me tell you something. Ain't shit come out of China that China don't want. I was watching this thing. I think it was just they gave a little preview on TikTok.
Uzi Knesset says, and see,
Oh,
even
hold
that
on.
is an incomplete metric here in FL. We report hospitalizations since March, but we don't report who's been released.
Oh, sure. No, it's good that I think the hospital ICU capacity numbers what I think you should look at. Anyways, these guys, they were in China and they wanted to see the concentration camp. They wanted to see the re-education camps. So they were trying to go to the re-education camps. And every time that they would try and go there, there would be a traffic accident in front of them. And and like the road would be closed and they couldn't get through. So finally, they went to bed. And then in the middle of the night, they woke up and drove there and they were finally able to see it. And all they could do was just video the building, like literally just the building. But the Chinese government is so on top of things there that a journalist can't even get to a location. They're always able to come up with some sort of crazy circumstance to prevent them from doing it. Okay? That's in real life. So, do you think that you can post some, the Chinese government doesn't want you to know how bad the coronavirus is. It'll come out and go viral, for a whole day before the Chinese government comes in and takes it down? No, they made that. Listen, if the Chinese government doesn't want it to be seen in China, it's gone within a minute. You never see it. Chinese government absolutely was trying to scare everybody and made the virus out to be a bigger deal than it actually was. Am I wrong? I guess what I'm saying is not a proven fact, but I think it's a pretty easy inference to make. You know what? I'm just noticing my microphone here is a little... Turn it down just a tad.
Uzi Knesset says Chinese officials now know how we'd react to new viruses. They've already announced 2 new viruses since COVID dropped. Our reaction to COVID gave a lot of power to China and people don't realize it.
Yeah. And it turns around and China will try and use this to like, oh, hey, we can give you ventilators and all this stuff. That's what they're doing to all the third world countries. It's totally. But the split side of it is that globalization is decreasing, which is good. It's pretty clear, I think, here in the West now, at least among the policymakers, that China is essentially on a total war strategy. And even though they're not like attacking us militarily, they're doing everything else.
I2 nth grade says, I think I agree, Seth. However, it is not mutually exclusive that the virus was also worse than they thought. They tricked themselves. They knew overblowing was the right play, but also miscalculated.
Uzi Knesset says, and I said it 3 months ago, the most blatant evidence of that is how when economies hit the discount bin, China was the most well-equipped willing buyer.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, they're totally trying to take advantage of it now. But no, Ryan the Great, I think you're probably right. Well, I mean, the thing is that assuming that it actually did escape from a lab, then the Chinese would have known immediately what it was being engineered for and how they had to react, right? Which would explain why they just completely shut everything down so quickly, because they knew that the aim of that virus was to weaken other people's economies. And then at that point, they would have to say, okay, we developed this weapon, but it's already gotten out. What do we do? Option one, we just lock everything down and the virus dies in Wuhan. Then we don't get our investment out of it. Option two, let it go. So they shut down all of the domestic flights and they let all of the international flights continue and intentionally spread it to the United States, Italy, and other countries. 100%. With the aim of stressing their medical systems and forcing them to shut down their economies in order to prevent a flooding of their hospital system and mass deaths. But then we go out and we find that as it's gone through and it's mutated and we actually get real data, it's not that
I2
deadly.
Yanth Great says there is a small chance that they had no clue the virus was leaked from their own lab until much too late. I would guess that they intentionally spread it. It's just too easy a play.
Sure. Well, and the thing that's crazy about it is that this event may have happened way back in October, right? Because what would have happened is, like, let's say that they just don't notice it until December. Okay, they notice it in December. They map the genome. Oh, hey, it matches this thing in our lab. Clean everything in the lab immediately. That's immediately what would happen. It's interesting. And then they know as well as anybody that making it appear that you're trying to suppress information about it is just going to make people even more interested in it. And then everything else after that is just let the US media do what the US media does, which is they're going to take whatever news headlines, whatever news has been provided to them, and they're going to generate the headline that will get the most clicks. Boom. But that's where it's all crazy is like, should we have closed down the economy earlier? Well, I think that closing the economy is probably the right decision, but in many places
Uzi
they did it
Knesset says, and
earlier
the
than
US
they should
public
have.
will do the rest.
Shouldn't have been a one size fit all approach. Okay, but then after that should be fine, and we'll get spikes like we're getting now, but it's fine.
Uzi Knesset says, tearing each other apart over it on social media to the point where everything is unbelievable.
Oh, it's what Facebook is a total mess for sure. Well, and it is hurting Donald Trump because Donald Trump is not acting like, oh no, like, because Donald Trump is not running around with his head off. All of the suburbanites are kind of questioning if they want to vote for Donald Trump again now. That's I think probably one of the key drivers of why he's doing poor in polling.
I2 Yanth Great says, yeah, it's crazy how we humans can be so trounced for months by a simple biological machine called a virus. Not even the greatest powers on Earth can quickly defeat these practically invisible viruses.
Well, back in June, nobody cared. In June, I think that nobody was taking it seriously anymore.
I2 Yanth Great says simply because it's too small and takes months to map.
This is why I think the school
Uzi Knesset says the virus
argument is
didn't
so
do it to us,
crazy.
we did it to ourselves.
The reopening school argument is really kind of crazy when you think about it. Because first of all, our view of the virus is going to be very different in the fall. Because most states are going to be past peak cases anyways, right? If you're already on the downhill slope, then shouldn't opening the schools up just be Like, no duh? I don't know. There's some people that that are the crush to curve faction that just think that we should keep everything closed until there's a vaccine. Okay, whatever. It even sounds like the vaccine might not be quite as effective as they want, but I digress. I need to breathe. Been talking so much.
Uzi Knesset says let the virus work. They say we're all going to get it anyway, so just let it happen.
Yeah, and then I don't know. Anyways, I just think that the school argument is getting a
I2
little
Yanth Great
crazy
says
right now.
I'm hearing some bad news that the immunity time is only months, maybe just FUD though.
No, you're right. You're right, Ryan. Let me find for you. We'll read what they're saying. I think I've been speaking too much, and I'm going through a little bit of like my brain chemicals are a little out of whack right now. It's Monday. Oh, you know what? I also haven't been taking my multivitamins, so I'm probably feeling a little woozy because of that. So it was the open rundown on News Squawk. Okay, here we go. First longitudinal study has found that COVID-19 antibodies peaked after around 3 weeks after the commencement of symptoms and thereafter swiftly declined. 60% of individuals generated a potent antibody response. Only 17% retained this level 3 months later. That's the headline that you're picking up on. But big but here is that I think there is an argument being made that we don't really understand a whole lot about how that immunity works, and that it may not require as high of an antibody response as we think it does to make a significant difference to herd immunity. So, yeah, because we've never really studied any disease as strongly as we have this one. So there's actually kind of things that maybe we're learning about disease that, you know what I mean? Oh, this guy on Futures IO responded to me. Yeah, there's this other guy that wanted something back to us, and he should just message me. Okay. So there's this guy named Hyperscalper who apparently lives in Boise, which is close to me. Well, I guess it's not close to me. Boise is actually quite up there, but I digress. And he was talking about inventory.
Uzi Knesset says I've been gauging reaction to the virus here in FL on cancellations of services for the cleaning company, and it just isn't happening yet.
Really? Well, then maybe it doesn't happen. Okay, let me read here. My definition of a market maker is the entity which buys the bid price to which a retailer sells and sells the ask price from which a retail player buys. Okay, so he's talking about limit orders. Market maker never pays retail, but is the market maker while all other players, large or small, are market takers and subject to the bid ask price penalty. That's all. So a trade on the time and sales tape at the bid is a market maker accumulation
Uzi
from a
Knesset
retail
says it
seller.
already happened earlier. We lost 58% of our revenue in April. We've gotten almost 100% of it back at this point, plus a whole slew of new requests for service.
Okay, those are my criteria for categorizing events. Regardless of whether a retail player uses a market order or uses a limit order to be retail, he is suffering the bid ask penalty. Yeah. We all understand how this spread works, but players are allowed to place bids and offers for the purposes that converts these guys into mini market makers, but they are not the large entities whom the market maker largely applies. when a retail player uses a limit order that is converted to a market order at the moment of execution, he or she does not make a bid ask, but is forced to pay the bid ask penalty. Okay. Any trader of a market maker who has genuine access to place orders on the order book will also be in competition with other market makers who jockey for position. If a market maker pulls his bid or offer, which is placed on the primary book on which the matching engine operates, then that market maker is penalized and loses her place on the book in the first in first out queue as the first one entitled to execution.
I2 Great says I heard a crazy fact the other day. Apparently we had never even discovered the flu virus until 1930. Like WTF 10 years after the Spanish flu.
Wait, really? Well, but I guess maybe like we had never actually like found it in a lab. Well, that's interesting. Let's see here.
Uzi Knesset says I remember that's how it worked on Forex. Limit orders became market orders, not the same in futures. I've been filled mid-queue before without my price being taken out.
Yeah, this guy is probably taking a different
R Factor
approach from
says liquidity
regular-
providers? RJ Wheel says
Yeah.
how did they call it Spanish flu then?
No, they knew that there was a flu, but they hadn't discovered the actual like virus because it's too small to see in a microscope, see. Okay. So if I go back to his first post and I'll show you what
Vincenzo
he's
C
getting at.
says I read a graphic novel on the Spanish flu. It was quite odd. I2 Great says they didn't know what caused it.
I'm going to mute you guys for a second so we can read this. Order flow analysis is useful, and what does it tell you? It tells you whether the market maker is net long or short against the retail population. Then that is an interesting piece of information, but it is by no means that useful in predicting a pause, reversal, or continuation of a trend. The real money is in a further refinement called inventory risk analysis, which in a nutshell is telling you whether the inventory is long or short. Sure, that's informative, but much more important is whether the market maker is in the money or is losing money on the current inventory on the current time frame, since everything in trading is time frame dependent. There's the open, by the way. Consider all major swings in the market represent accumulation or distribution trends, whether the market maker is doing accumulation against the retail traders and perhaps doing that with a steady downtrend, or whether in a distribution phase usually associated with an uptrend in pricing. Anyways, if it were the case that major trend changes occurred over, say, 2-hour cycles, then you'd want to evaluate your inventory over roughly a 2-hour period in order to appreciate market maker's inventory situation, assuming that you wanted to trade also on roughly that time frame. The cost basis for a market maker's inventory. Hold on. Okay. Where did I get to? Cost basis for market maker's inventory, which is determined over a calculation of all trades which occur over the interval of interest. We need to first establish an estimate of cost basis. If a market maker is long, meaning more retail selling is occurring than retail buying, so that the market maker is holding inventory which she wants to sell off at a higher price, then we want to know the cost basis price for the net long inventory. That is done by starting with the lowest retail sell trade. Market maker is a buyer and searching for a matching retail buy trade, which is at least one tick higher. Inventory which was bought by the market maker, let's say one contract to Sally, the retail trader can be matched with one contract sold by the market maker at a minimum of one tick or more profit. So here's where I'm wondering, is he just talking about cumulative delta? Or is he actually looking for a true... Well, okay, so one thing that could happen is if you cumulative delta would not keep track of the amount So in order for cumulative delta to cancel out, they have to occur at different prices. Whereas in just in cumulative delta, they could be happening at the same price, and then they would count, right? Set up a huge sim account and trade the day's range in anything by just stacking the ladder. Your average price is your indicator. All you need is one tick profit. That's how the market maker plays. You mean he comes in here and he says dot 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 dot, and then on average he makes a profit off of it? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. Do it and let it play and you'll see. Well, today would be a good time to do it. But I guess the thing would be, though, is if I bought a bunch of contracts all the way down to here, and then I would have to stack my offers on the way down as well. You'd need a lot of contracts to be able to play with it, too.
Uzi Knesset says that's why when the market starts trading at the highs, you'll suddenly see some nutter drop a massive bid. That's the net short market maker trying to take profit where he knows everyone will sell.
Guess I don't understand what you're saying there, Uzi. You're saying that he has sold a bunch and he gets up there, and then you'll see like a bid show up like way further down, you mean? Sorry, let me restart here. My head hurts.
Uzi Knesset says no, the market trades up, right? Market maker is selling all the way up, then you get to the day's high, right? Uzi Knesset says suddenly, someone bids huge amount at the high, that is the net short market maker bailing for his one tick with an average short price at the current offer. Uzi Knesset says that's what absorption is, market maker dragging their average price up or down.
So you're saying that if he gets filled on the bid there, that he makes one tick profit? He's basically been averaging in. And if it were to go higher from there, then he would start losing money, right?
Uzi Knesset says one tick profit on hundreds of contracts or thousands.
We'll have to try it. E-mini's still being a little wobbly.
Uzi Knesset says, well, depending on their capacity for pain, they'll keep averaging in. When the market makes quick swings, if you ask me, that's the market maker liquidating when their risk tolerance has been reached.
If I understand what this guy is saying, then I think I can program it. I don't think that you can do a running total, though. I think that we would have to write a thing and we would have to say, over this time period, what is it? Kind of like how we have that thing that does the market replay and can tell you what the cumulative delta is between a certain area or what the delta is on a certain area. It would be a similar thing. But it would be like starting from the bottom, how much long is there, and from the top, how much short is there. So it would be like for each level, add all of the buys minus all the sells. And then at the next level, add all the buys minus all the sells, and you just go up. Right? It wouldn't be the same as cumulative delta, because if it came back, you wouldn't count it then at that point. Oh, how do you do that? Do you do it level by level? That's a little confusing. But it is not cumulative delta. It's close. But it would be trying to estimate. It would be like, just like if we did this, if we put something at every level, right? Then, no, I think that what we would have to do is generate a profile of just the whole thing. So we generate a volume profile, buys minus sells, and then we start here, the very bottom. Okay, one bot. Okay. Minus the ones that sold here. Plus this. Minus this. Plus this. Minus this. Plus this. Minus this. Plus this. And you have to go on it level by level up like that from the bottom, I think. And then you would end up with a plus or minus number, long and short. And if you started from the top and went down, I think you might get something different as well. No, maybe not. I don't know. Well, I guess all we could do is try it, right?
Uzi Knesset says, well, depending on their capacity for pain, they'll keep averaging in. When the market makes quick swings, if you ask me, that's the market maker liquidating when their risk tolerance has been reached.
Yeah. Or at the very least, the market maker will pull their orders and say, I don't want to take any of those prices. I mean, that's certainly why prices pull. It's because the market maker determines that they don't want to sell those prices. Okay, so I think I can do this like, let's start a new chart. And let's do it by hand. And see if this does anything. ES. 10 minutes.
I2 Yanth Great says Russell F at bottom of VWAP, Nasdaq F at top of VWAP.
I think that we want to do it on a volume metric, right? Right? It would be like this. 34 minus. Now, you know what? That's too big. Let's do it on this one right here. $89 minus 127. No, you know what? I also need to come in here and I want our statistics. Trades volume, delta, cumulative delta, min max. Wait, what are all of these? We'll just add all of them. Okay. 89 minus 127 plus 211 minus 55 plus 207 minus 311 plus 569 minus 664 plus 685 minus 718 plus 511 minus 366 plus 424 minus 360 plus 455 minus 264 plus 124 minus 14 equals 396, which is equal to the delta of the bar. But it's positive. Yeah. Mm-mm.
I2 Yanth Great says Russell F at bottom of VWAP, Nasdaq F at top of VWAP.
I don't know. I'm thinking back. I don't think I understand what this guy is trying to say. Would a footprint chart have all of the data that you need? I'm going to rephrase this. I think I got a better explanation for what I'm wondering. Because if he's looking at the individual orders, that could be really weird and funky. Okay, well, so far since the open, it's been a slight downturn. Tesla stock just hit that moment in office space when they realize they are stealing too much. Oh, I closed it down. Are they moving now? We were looking for the puts. Let's open it back up. I don't know if here is really the correct place to buy Tesla puts, but I don't think that the stock price is going to survive the earnings next Wednesday. Okay. Now we don't need 10 of them. We just need one. Okay. Well, they are higher today. So when I was taking it, that's how much they decreased over the weekend. Ooh. So I'm wondering, can I do kind of a spread here? How much do these decrease?
I2 Great says ARK Invest called the Super Bowl run on Tesla I think, now they say 15K by 2024.
$1,200 is $1,850. So I don't think that a spread works here. I think that you buy them deep out of the money. What do you guys think? $1,000? I think that we could come back to 1,000. Oops. Let's see if I did like a spread between 1,200 and 1,000. 22, 890. That doesn't. Is that really a big enough difference? Well, let's try it. So if we right now at expiration 23,000. Good grief. Okay. But the thing is like, how many more would it actually
I2
allow you to
Great
buy?
says correction, their base is 7K for Tesla.
$14 versus $22. That's not a big enough difference.
Sunday driver says silver and gold. Silver and gold.
See, here is where it would I see the temptation to sell the puts. Or sorry, to sell the calls. You see it? Do you see it? Like, I just come in here, sell the call.
Sunday driver says Tesla is skying again, despite reporting a slump in sales. WTF.
So if I just do this one, oh, how much is it? 18,000? It's not worth it. Not worth it, dude. Because if we get this, we get 23. Huh.
I2 Great says make new friends, and keep the old, slightly smiling face one as Bitcoin and the other gold.
That's a good rhyme, my friend. That was a great one, Ryan. Hmm. No, I think that but you don't make money unless it goes below 1,200. So it probably, Both of these, neither of these probably make sense. It's probably better
RJ
to
Wheels says
just
Sunday driver. I
buy these. Let's do it at like each of these. I believe that it won't be as much, right?
RJ Wheels
Wait,
says
this
love
is
the
spread.
homage to Burl Ives.
Okay.
Sunday driver says at RJ Wheel lol.
$52,000 versus what? This was 23,000, right? Yeah. But of course, there's worth so much more. What about these two? 53 versus 43.
RJ Wheels says far. RJ Wheels says Rudolph is by the best Christmas special.
But see, this one you could do you could do more. Oh, let's we want those to be ones. See, so because these are 14, yeah, like we could at least do 2 of these.
Sunday driver says how long before they cancel Rudolph?
That's a good question, dude. 53, 83. Yeah, see, it'd have to do them as in like okay. This one we could do 3. This one we could do. Wait.
RJ Wheels says yeah, there's bullying.
Divided by 21. 14.
Sunday driver says Yukon Cornelius carries a gun and pushes the abominable snowman off a cliff.
$324,000.
Sunday driver says very traumatizing for youngsters.
RJ Wheels says the show is very anti-dentite too, as Kramer would say.
It didn't look like a vertical spread really was making. I think that if we were going to make this play, that the best way to do it would be. Oh, come on. Show me way more strikes than that. There we go. Come down here to where they come back a lot. So let's say 1,500 strike. This is a simulation. Dun, dun, dun. Non-standard, 24th July. Oh yeah, and there is some volume there at 1,500. So I think that that's the place to do it. Cool. $7,000. We'll see.
Sunday driver says the little elf Hermie is obviously gay and isn't allowed to be his authentic self in the elf workshop. No gay pride flag.
We'll see on Wednesday what happens. 1,500 strike puts. I don't think that this might not be the best place to put it, though, to be honest. I bet you that they keep going up.
RJ Wheel says misfit toy lives are perceived as not mattering.
Man. Oh, I was things that I could get into there, but I don't think so. Rudolph is by. I think they actually already tried to. I remember there was this thing where they removed they didn't air those last year because there was something offensive in it. I think Rudolph already got canceled, dude.
Sunday Driver says they are also segregated in their own land. Sunday Driver says misfit toys lives matter.
RJ Wheel says lol.
Zero Hedge says, if you ever wondered what a short squeeze in Tesla would look like, this is what it looks like. Oh my gosh. Well, when you look back at how high they are opening today compared to where they were, it's pretty crazy. I really don't think that, oh, we're going to see what happens when the earnings come out. This is going to be crazy, guys. Okay, so where are we at here? Yeah, let's do it. We're going to try Uzi's test here. So we're going to move over to our experimental account. Because the book is pretty equal there. So I think that makes this an interesting spot to try it at, right? Okay. Now, if they buy me again at 03, then I will sell 03 half, right? Well, the 10-year might be a really boring one for it. They have $2,500 calls out there in Tesla right now. What the what?
Sunday driver says I say short Tesla. Will be a $5 stock again.
Right, but where do you short it at? You saw what we just put in there, and right? I took it. I put in a sim trade in Thinkorswim, the price that it was giving us right now. So I don't remember what exactly that was, but let's just say that we got 1700 in Tesla. Is it, how much higher is this thing going to go before next Wednesday, right? It's a little cray to think about, right?
I2 Great says Tesla is 4 years ahead of BMW, GE, Mercedes, Google, or literally any other car manufacturer. People really just don't understand the engineering fundamentals, unfortunately, and that's why there's confusion.
Okay, so right away I'm noticing that I kind of have to pick a preferred direction, don't I? Because if it goes down against me, then I have to average out at a certain spot, right? So in this case, because I got filled on the buy first, I would prefer it to go up. Just probably the less likely case, to be honest.
Sunday driver says I don't care where people think Tesla is. There is no doubt that it is priced to perfection. The moment other car makers start creating competitive options, their scale will crush Tesla in price.
Sure. I don't think that there's any, well, I mean, maybe everybody's wrong, but I don't think that there's any question that, you know, the price is more a function
I2
of,
Great says the other car makers are dead, they've already lost.
you know what I mean? That it's a function of a short squeeze and has nothing to do with the valuation of the actual, what the shares are actually worth. Why would that? The squawk is telling us to refresh page. Why?
I2 Great says when range gets to 800 miles and the costs are just way more practical, everyone will be driving Tesla. Mike Salisbury says short float has come in quite a bit since the last squeeze, but still 9.5% short float. Last squeeze was closer to 25%,
Yeah.
30%, I believe.
Yeah, you're totally right, Mike. One of the things that I noticed that I thought was really weird was that everybody was making a big, on Wall Street Bets, was making a big deal out of the record short interest and everything else like that. And I'm like, but it's not even, it's actually less than the last one. It's actually come back quite a bit. There already a lot has been squeezed out. But that's why I say you get the expirations that's at the end of next week, right? Because earnings are going to come out on Wednesday and that's going to kill them. So then the question is just, how good of a price do you get?
Mike Salisbury says relatively a low float stock for the interest.
You think so?
Sunday Driver says I admit their product is nice and I wish I bought the stock at $200. But there is no way they will be the only car maker. Auto engineers are the best in the world, and they'll eat Tesla alive.
Mike Salisbury says not in the traditional sense of a 10 million share low float. Gary Rich says yeah right Tesla taking over world. Get screwed you ostriches. A company that makes 300k cars a year will beat a company who sells millions. You warped morons.
I don't really think the question is where is Tesla going to be in 5 years. I mean, if you want to go and try and play that one, then by all means. But I think the thing that is interesting to me is, what will the price of Tesla be by the close of Friday, July 24th? And I say that it will be well below 1,500. That's the... Well, if it does go down on me, then I guess that's a good... That would be a good... what is the word?
Gary Rich says where its price is different. But taking over the world is just ass dumb stupid.
Yeah, they're not going to take it. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Gary.
Mike Salisbury says about halfway through Flash Crash. Really awesome read.
Oh. 3K just bid at 3 in the 10-year?
Sunday Driver says car makers will do to Tesla what McDonald's did to other fast food companies with the dollar menu. Drove volume to McDonald's. McDonald's had scale to handle low prices, others didn't.
I2 Great says they don't have the battery tech. You just don't get it.
The other guys don't have the battery tech to compete with Tesla. I'm sure that over the long term that they could be a good that they'll be successful. I think that Tesla will be. I don't think that they'll be out of business or anything like that. But did they really deserve the market cap that they're getting right now? I don't think they do.
RJ Wheel says the first dealership on Mars will be Tesla. That's the play.
Okay. Gosh. Sorry. The E-Mini's playing some funny games with us here.
I2 Great says their electric cars will be capped at 200 miles and Tesla is already at 400. They will literally be driven out of business.
And it pulled and they offered 3. They gonna buy me at 02 half now?
I2 Yanth Great says Tesla also makes their own neural network I chips and is an electric utility company as well. Gary Rich says Tesla owns none of the battery technology, none, so how is Tesla gonna transform that?
Well, but they own the battery production, right? I think that's what he meant. The other people would have to buy batteries from Tesla or create their own factories.
I2 Yanth Great says they bought Maxwell.
Okay.
Gary Rich says Tesla does not own the patents, that's the real moneymaker.
Hmm. You don't think that building and selling the actual cars isn't a big moneymaker?
Mike Salisbury says GC looks interesting here.
I do see a little bit of dollar weakness coming in here. E-mini looks like they can go.
I2 Yanth Great says but the car manufacturers don't own the patents either, dude.
Okay, sure.
I2 Yanth Great says they going down.
I don't think that Tesla's going to take out all the other car companies. Is that what you believe? Do you believe that Ford and Chevy are going to go out of business and
Sunday
that
Driver
Tesla
says
will...
Volkswagen says they can sell electric cars in the near future for $22,000.
Wow. Hey, they're going to buy me now. Yeah.
Gary Rich says no, Tesla margins on the other models keep falling. It's a no valuation on car companies.
So now I put a bid there, right?
I2 Yanth Great says they are horribly mismanaged companies, if you look at all the details.
Now, see, this is where I'm like, okay, well, do I think that they're going to pop back up above 04? I don't know. But if I thought that they could, then I could pull, right?
Gary Rich says well, let's see when other car companies come with their EV. It will shrink Tesla demand except those shiny lure idiots who want to be cool and seem a fool.
But what if they become like the Apple of cars? Well, they're really already are the Apple of all cars, but it's not like super widespread yet.
Sunday Driver says if VW can make a low-priced electric car, and if someone like Porsche makes high-end cars in the same price range, where does Tesla go?
I2 Yanth Great says Tesla cars will be cheaper than their cars, lol.
No, I don't think so. I think I mean, they could be cheaper, but I think that if I was Tesla, I would take the route of that people pay up because they like the brand.
Gary Rich says Audi, BMW, Porsche, Mercedes already have price points which far superior to Tesla. I2 Yanth Great says much worse range though unfortunately.
I don't know. You guys are all. I'm not quite sure why you're saying some of the things that you are. It seems like a way beyond the, at least what I was thinking. So I don't 100%
Gary Rich
understand
says
your
it's coming. They were to release
thesis.
EV this year but COVID put a delay on this.
Sunday Driver says going cheap will be a wrong move for Tesla. Once the luxury names get involved, Tesla will have trouble. They did create a great product, I'll give them that.
Hmm.
Mike Salisbury says a lot of absorbing there on 3207s. Chopsticks 7 Life says lol rip to all the idiots who bought Apple puts on Friday LMAO. Chopsticks 7 Life says I am that idiot.
You bought Apple puts on Friday? Well, the market could overall come down here in a bit. You know, the issue is you're going to get these earnings this week, and Pepsi, it's okay. I don't know.
I2 Yanth Great says open mouth smile. Gary Rich says look at the margins on Tesla models, they suck. Tesla should have stuck with one model or two. Or just made electric scooters that's millions of sales.
Electric scooters. Forget how popular the electric scooters are in Europe. Man.
Chopsticks 7 Life says I am thinking Green Day today then small sell off tomorrow.
Well, yeah, today's definitely looks green on the E-mini, but beyond that, especially when we come into
Sunday Driver
Wednesday.
says I agree with the scooter. If they could make a zippy scooter that is cool, I'd buy one.
I2 Yanth Great says margins don't matter ROFL. Elon can fund the company himself. Mike Salisbury says those are pretty fun. The electric scooters lol. Gary Rich says billions of scooter demand potential if Tesla made them. Margins are very high.
Margins are very high, huh? I've been trying to figure out a better high margin business for my wife. She's
Chopsticks 7 Life says 15k new cases in Florida today and market is booming. The virus is literally priced in at this point. Disappointed.
yes, it is.
Sunday Driver says isn't all of Elon's wealth derived from Tesla's stock price?
The number of cases that we're seeing in Florida and so forth is not higher than expected. That's the thing. Market expectation is being met at the moment. If we continue to see, if it was like we were still seeing 15k new cases by next Friday and into next week, then the market would start to freak out.
Gary Rich says yes on Elon comp packages and wealth.
And then the other thing is that for the E-mini in
Chopsticks 7
particular,
Life says I am too poor to afford Tesla calls rip me.
the thing that really matters is going to be earnings.
I2 Yanth Great says well yeah I guess that's kinda true NM lol. Chopsticks 7 Life says, is Apple going to reach 400 today? Holy.
Cool.
Gary Rich says, didn't you find it strange how Tesla delayed its earnings post till August? He is cooking the books.
Wait, is it delayed until August? Because we went and did the research earlier and earnings was supposed to be July 24th.
Gary
Sorry,
Rich says
July
they filed a
22nd.
delay.
July 22nd. So here I have a right here. Tesla announces date for second quarter, July 22nd. Not seeing you need to find me a link, Gary.
Sunday Driver says, right now Elon is the world's greatest carnival barker.
Okay.
I2 Yanth Great says he's literally an engineer. Mike Salisbury says, Seth, can you explain your S chart a little if you don't mind?
Down in the bottom right. Oh, so I have a video that actually kind of explains it today. Totally forgot. Let's find it. So here's my new video where I talk about the multi-time
Mike
frame
Salisbury
charts.
says, oh cool, I will watch it.
Sunday Driver says, I actually think Tesla's future is making homes more energy efficient and less dependent on the electrical grid.
I2 Yanth Great says people don't even know Elon developed the Dragon rocket capsule in CAD himself.
Okay, so one thing I'm noticing is that when you have orders at every price and seeing how much you make at each one, you can't see. So that's kind of annoying.
$133 says, what's up, speculator Seth? I just rolled out of bed and hit buy on micro. Lol.
Well, that's probably going to work out for you. I think that's the trick is you just you don't need to know anything. about what's going on. You just have to do it as soon as you roll out of bed. I think that's a good edge. No, like honestly, it probably is gonna work. It's an up day, that's for sure. Oh, I didn't hit enter. So there's the video. It is the indicators that I have. They help you on multiple time frames, and it explains how I get these 5-minute bars behind the other bars.
Speculator Seth Day Trading says.
Okay, Florida cases is 12,000. It's much lower. We would expect that not significant thing.
Mike Salisbury says thank you very
Market is
much.
moving
I
up.
will watch that.
Yeah, so I have that. I also have some moving averages on here. This is just like a simple moving average and a weighted moving average. I like to watch that 10-minute simple moving average because that seems to be a turning point that the market watches overall as a whole. This right here is cumulative delta, and this down at the bottom is an indicator that I wrote that's I'm still kind of testing, that shows you the overall size in the book. Oh, okay, now I can put that. Okay, so they rose 4.7% versus the average 4.4, but it was less than yesterday's. So I don't think that is good per se. The market is not, well, the market is selling off a little bit, but the market isn't like super freaked out about it yet. Come on. Yeah. Feel me. Hmm. So this speaker over in the UK right now is saying stuff about that the UK basically can't inflate away their debt like the United States can because of the way the bonds work. I don't understand that. I think I need to look into that more.
I2 Yanth Great says so I'm reading that we literally did not truly understand viruses had genomes until like 1952. With polio vaccine, Krazi it was such a short time ago. It's like we just started.
Yes, it is a very recent development for sure.
Mike Salisbury says oh are their bonds inflation protected?
I didn't understand what he was saying, and I didn't see anybody tweeting about it either. Only that they couldn't do it through inflation.
Mike Salisbury says interesting.
Yeah. I bet you will get more information on this later today when they publish full stories. somebody will be able to explain this to us. It seems to me like something that would be important to, well, what do I say? It's not something that I think is like going to move the market right now, but it seems like something that for the larger context is probably good for us to know. Oh, that's right. I bought it 04. That's the two that I got are 04 and 03 fam. Okay. Okay, so they're talking about the restrictions to Hong Kong now. Uh, Come on. Flip. There we go. The treasury's a lot thicker now, man. It's thicker this week. I guess that's a good thing, but lots of clicky clicks. Messing with the offer there, apparently. I think I need to take a break. I'm just gonna leave it like it is. We'll see what happens. Maybe they hit me? No? Okay, whatever. We'll see. We'll see. Oh no, wait, they did. They did film me. So pull that one. No. Pull that one and put that one on.
Gary Rich says the central bank site have working papers discussing why they can't inflate their way out. When you hear yield curve control talks or news, get worried. It's not good, it will be financial repression.
Sunday driver says why can't they inflate their way out?
Okay, so I think I will do that. I feel bad eating a Pop-Tart, but I just don't feel 100%. I feel like I need some more carbs in me, so. Your ASMR, like the sound of that? Yeah. George Soros to invest over $200 million towards efforts to achieve racial equality. Okay. Oh, I did. I got them. Moderna will join the NASDAQ 100 index, replacing CoStar. Insiders will be selling stock. 347 says zero hedge. Retail investors no longer even bother with stocks. Everyone is in calls. Says what is this chart? Why does that say that? Single stock shares notional, single stock options notional. Oh, that is interesting. They are increasing in options and less in stocks. That's funny.
Gary Rich says the central bank site have working papers discussing why they can't inflate their way out. When you hear yield curve control talks or news, get worried. It's not good, it will be financial repression.
So wait, how does yield curve control help them?
Gary Rich says when they devalue their currency, it cause loss of purchasing power for its citizens.
Sure.
They must speculate in assets to make up that lost parity. Food and energy price upwards, which is inflationary.
Sunday driver says what flavor Pop-Tart? Blueberry.
It's like the brown sugar one or something, whatever. It's like just sugar. I feel like it's just sugar. I can feel my blood sugar level. Like I have a pretty good. I have discovered that I have a pretty good insulin response. So like, doesn't take very much, and it's just like, oh yes, let's put this to work.
Sunday driver says you're assuming wages would not also inflate.
Is that it? Well, I don't think that wages will inflate. I'm starting to wonder, hey, we've had like really low wage inflation for a long time. Maybe it's because we haven't increased the minimum wage for a long time. Seems like that's a contributing factor. If you don't increase the minimum wage, then that doesn't mean that workers aren't, are making less. That's kind of a false thing, but it's just that the improvements go to other places instead, like better purchasing power and stuff like that. Mm-mm. Yeah, I'm trying to think here. So how does yield curve control help them maintain their debt levels? Is the question I have, and I'm not sure I understand. Oh, did I take one at 03 half there? What was the last one that got? No.
I2 Yanth Great says work is now global, wages barely inflate locally anymore, right?
Well, that's part of it too, Ryan. I think you're right. Partially. Obviously, there's going to be multiple factors, right?
I2 Yanth Great says cheap labor from India and China.
Yeah. But like we were saying before, the amount of globalization, particularly in the space of manufacturing, appears to be decreasing, which I think is funny. It seems to me that if you were going to outsource stuff, that it should be the services, not the manufacturing. I don't get that one. But whatever. But then it's funny because all of the services guys, they hate outsourcing. You know, they outsourced for a long time and they decided that it wasn't worth it.
Sunday Driver says that's one reason why globalism is going to die a miserable death. I hope, anyway.
Hmm. I mean, the thing is that interdependencies and like global trade and having a lot of global trade is a good thing overall. But the local governments need to still have control. So, you know, like probably the best example of the battle in globalism, like really from a purely, uh, how do I put it? I don't want to say ideological, but when you look at the mechanics of what is globalism versus localism, let's call it.
I2 Yanth Great says China probably gave them all secret bribes to move their factories.
Sunday Driver says they did manufacturing because that sector had the most locked away capital. They sold plant and equipment and raided the juicy pensions. Services didn't have that.
Gary
Makes
Rich
so
says
much
if
sense
banks
and
loan money
good.
businesses, that money supply increases on a velocity terms, which is inflationary. Food and energy are transitory according to the Fed. Globalization has hurt many as well.
Anyways, I was gonna say like the big battle next one is gonna be this whole they want to impose federal guidelines for zoning restrictions so that they can force low income housing projects in every suburban area in America. Right? That is the quintessential example right there. Is that do cities do local neighborhoods are no longer allowed to decide what gets built where. Now the federal government is going to determine that. Is that what it's going to take for people to finally catch on to this ideological argument that's being made? Because I'm pretty sure that most suburbanites would be upset if a low income housing project got built in their backyard. You know what I mean?
Sunday Driver says they've already done that, of sorts, with Section 8 housing.
Well, Obama was kind of starting to do it, and it sounds like Biden was going to take it like full bore. Because the thing is that in the cities, the rent is too high, and so they want to build more low income housing essentially. Disneyland Hong Kong will temporarily close from July 15th. World Health Organization's Tedros. Coronavirus could worsen more and more. Oh, it's so scary, guys. Last time that I did that sort of a thing, made fun of everybody being afraid, then it got a lot worse. So let's not do that. Oh man, did Donald Trump retweet the cultural genocide thing? When Matt Gates says there's an attempted cultural genocide going on in America right now, and it calls for patriots to stand up and say this great country
Sunday
is
Driver
worth
says
our
that's where
pride
the
and
left
defense.
fucks up. High prices always lead to more supply. Just let the developers do what they do, and low-cost housing will follow.
Wrong, because they don't have anywhere to build them in the places that it's needed, at least. You see the problem? If you're in a city and you want the price of housing to go down, you need to build more housing. Well, if you're going to build more housing in a place where everybody wants to live, why would you build more low-income housing? That don't make any sense, does it? No, it's not. A bunch of people that say that it's not a rate. It's not a rate. It's a number of deaths. Rate per what? Man, all of these guys, a ton of responses to my comment. And they're like, yes, it is. I'm like, no, this is dishonest. And of course, they get a bunch of likes. What a load of bullshit. Of course, all of his followers would defend him now. Okay, well, we'll do the first
Sunday
one.
Driver says they control zoning in big cities. Sunday Driver says that's because leftists control zoning.
Gary Rich says China has cheap labor. Human labor is biggest expense with its legacy cost in developed countries. China higher wages will slowly bring manufacturing back to countries. Gary Rich says China has used its cheap financing to force debt-starved countries to give up hard assets when they default on the financing.
You need to eat this. Okay. Now I'm going to finish writing this. Hmm. Oh, so you guys are probably still saying stuff, and I'm not seeing it here. Hold on a second. Man, the way that he is presenting that data is so dishonest. Nobody's going to call him on it. Such bullshit, dude. It bothers me so much. Okay, so what were you guys saying? Johnny, they did manufacturing. And no, we already read that. China has cheap labor. Human labor is the biggest expense with its legacy cost in development countries. China, higher wages will slowly bring manufacturing back to countries. Oh, we got out. So that trade ultimately resulted in 2. But there was 20 fills. Ultimately, I think that we lost money when you factor in the costs. But I did exactly what we were talking about, didn't we? I was getting uneasy with it, so I was getting out. When the way that Uzi presented it earlier, I don't think is fair portrayal of the way that it works. He's taking a profit, but ultimately he was the wrong direction, right? Sunday driver, what data? So what I was talking about earlier was Paul Krugman posted a chart of death rates per million people or something of that nature, and it was showing that it's higher in the United States and it's not in Europe. And I'm like, well, it's not really like death rate. Like I guess you could call it a death rate, but really what it is it's just a population adjusted measure of how many people have died. It's not really tell you about how many people are dying compared to how far along the virus is. That was, you'd have to use like deaths per confirmed case. And that would be a fair measure of how effective a country's response is. All we've determined right now is that in Europe, the progression of the virus has slowed down because they didn't have protests, essentially. And that doesn't mean that it's not going to increase in the future. At some point, assuming that they don't just wait until you get to... I can't talk when the squawk is talking. Assuming that they don't just wait until there's a vaccine, which they're clearly not going to do, eventually you should see the number of cases rise. So to present it as that the case per million, deaths per million people is an effective death rate measure of how effective your country's response is completely dishonest. He knows it too, because he's not going to put out the deaths per confirmed case because the United States is better on that because we have so many tests. So then how do you account for the number of tests that we're doing? How about deaths per test? How about that? Instead of deaths per confirmed case. Something like that. All you had to say was Paul Krugman, that guy is such a clod. Yeah, he really is. It's a clod. I don't know. He's a hack. He literally just says, I really don't think at this point that he tries to be honest. I really don't. I think that he's trying to play up the politics of it always. If he is trying to be honest, then he really, really shouldn't be listened to, because anybody that is that much in denial about their own opinions is just dangerous. Wilmer Albert says I'm new and nobody cares. Wow. Boy, I'm arguing with it on Twitter, so I care. And it's my stream, so I gotta talk about what I care about. Hey, Ace. How's it going? I don't even know how I feel about that, the way that I traded the 10-year there. I mean, obviously, I could have tried to get out. I mean, really, what I should have done is, because I gave a lot up, essentially. Anyways, I saw that Gary had put a couple of comments in there, but I still didn't understand how yield curve control was supposed to be an effort to control the debt. Is it because the intention of yield curve control is to prevent the rates from getting too high across the curve so that the cost of maintaining your debt doesn't get too high? Is that really the true reason behind yield curve control? Because I thought that it had more to do with just um, we're already to a low place, but you're seeing a pretty wide you're seeing some funky stuff in the spreads that aren't necessarily beneficial to everybody, and so now it's an attempt to control the spreads in addition to just the outright rates. I thought that's what it was about. And you beat me. I was a bad boy this weekend. You went camping, right? What did you do? See, if I had gotten my one contract out at L5 half, then I would have gotten 8 ticks, but I didn't. So that must be why it can come back so fast sometimes when they make a move like that. Because maybe if you're the market maker and you're the right way, and then you want to get filled and you're not actually getting filled, then you have to chase it. Mm. Oh, okay. Kudlow is on TV again. About 15 minutes before I'll shut things down. Okay, Gary says, I think that's a good way to think. The yield control info is hard to find the exact mechanism. Your theory makes sense. Perfect. Sure. As long as we're making a caveat that it is just a theory and that it may be probably is more complicated than that. Don't want to be on hashtag canceled or me too. Bum 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 bum. Oh, we should check out on this video. How are we doing? Okay, cool. Yeah, so just to reiterate again for you guys that missed it, I have a video out again today. Not a huge deal, but oh, I have to grab it. I have to grab the link for you. Here's the link. No. Just stop. Oh, you guys didn't even hear that. We're fine. The video started out playing. Anyways, so there's the video, and basically it goes into how I get these charts to show the multiple time frames overlaid on top of each other. And how this chart with the little tape at the bottom works, what that's all about. So yeah, cool stuff. There's downloads for it in the Discord, so if you're not familiar with that, you can go and check it out or share it around with people. I find it's something really useful, especially for newer people that might not be more familiar with the way that the market tends to move, and you want to be able to watch it on all the different time frames to see what happens. Kudlow says President Trump is willing to consider more state aid if schools reopen. Oh, guys, this stuff gets ridiculous. That is like, I get why he would say that, but from a political perspective, that is not a smart thing to say. Yay, New York City reports no new COVID-19 deaths for 24 hours. Good deal for them. Good for you, New York. You still screwed up the initial response. Big time. Oh, it was so bad. Mm-mm-mm. Anyways, just reading through here, there's not really anything. I think I kind of got lost in my own thoughts there. Mm-hmm. Let's go back to this. I want to see if anybody else responded to that thread, because I feel like it's just really dishonest. Now, somebody else would ask how much of this is due to disproportionately high levels of comorbidity in the United States due to unhealthy lifestyles. You see, that would be something where the death rate per confirmed case would be more important, right? Mm-mm. Yeah, comparing two data sets with different criteria of measurements. Yeah. Most of that, what's really sad is that it's a really easy thing to push back against, and yet most of the responses here to him don't understand the statistics enough to explain it. Oh yeah, his chart was also showing a probable. Well, probably will though actually. Hmm. The baby is out bouncing, but he sounds unhappy. We can go grab him for a second. I had COVID already. I ate at a Chinese buffet and I didn't want the bat suit dessert. It looked old. Oh, let's see here. Ron Paul says the 10-year may go with no negative. If so, what's the implications of that? What assets and who gets into trouble? Boy. Well, first of all, I don't think that Ron Paul knows what the fuck he's talking about when it comes to interest rates, but because if he did, he wouldn't hold many of the positions that he holds. Second of all, the Federal Reserve is very adamant that they are not convinced of the benefits of a negative yields. And they've been doing a lot of research into it, and they seem to all be agreed that they're not going to do it. But if it were to happen, who would benefit and who wouldn't? I think that if rates were to go negative, I think the first one that I think about is you look at the mortgage companies directly, right? A lot of those people are just going to get hammered, which is funny because, oh, I don't know, like they actually get a lot of business, so I guess they kind of make up for it there. Um, Especially like the title loan, like the company that actually does the signing part, they probably they maybe make a lot of money off of that sort of a thing. Banks, I don't think that would be very good for banks overall, though. It would be awful for all of the fixed income investors and the hedge, what do we call you, retirement funds and stuff. It's Raoul Paul from Real Vision, a very bright man in the financial world. Oh, is that somebody else? It's not Ron Paul. Okay, I'm not familiar with him. I'm still sticking with that. I think it's very unlikely to happen. But then there's also there would be a benefit to the consumer. So I don't know. There's been a lot of. I wish I could. I'm pretty sure that if we search on Zero Hedge, we could find it. There was a paper where they show. Oh, what's this? Arizona reports 1,357 new cases. Why am I not hearing it? Hello, not expecting interruptions in V-shaped recovery. We should add something to our watch list. TSLA. Well, there's a lot of there's a lot trading there. Okay, well, looks like the E-mini is set to just keep going. It's super hard, let's come back to a chart. So I was thinking, like I never took a trade in the E-mini because I just don't see a really super great opportunity today, but they are 20 points up. I'm wondering, oh, where is our... I'm missing a chart. Oh, here it is. So I'm looking at the 60. Jeez. Oh, okay. So the previous high was 2330 back in June. So that's where there's going to be a little bit of resistance. And there could be real resistance because there's going to be people are going to be trying to trade the earnings. You know what I mean? Ryan, hey Seth, how come you don't dual stream to Twitch? Good question. So I used to dual stream to Twitch using restream.io. I stopped doing so because one, I thought that maybe I would get a better latency to talk with you guys with. But then the other thing is that we just weren't getting good viewers from Twitch. So like I can understand if you would like rather use Twitch or YouTube, and there's a lot of things about Twitch that I think would make this more fun for you guys. But that when we weren't getting any discovery from Twitch, and when we did get people come and watch, they were idiots. It just wasn't attracting the audience that we wanted. So I felt like that I should just focus my efforts on the YouTube. And, since I did that, the channel has grown, which is kind of interesting. But, I feel personally that for the audience that we're trying to reach, that there's just not much of a point in streaming at the Twitch. Yeah, the audience is full of gamblers, right? Because you're either getting YOLO 420 idiots, or you're getting people that are like brand new and don't, but it's teenagers, man. It's teenagers. And the kind of person that we're looking for, the careful analysis, serious, wants to really talk about the nitty-gritty details of the financial world, they're just not watching Twitch. They're just not. So that's kind of the way that it went. I hope that in the future that YouTube continues to improve their streaming platform so that we can have some of those fun features that you get over on Twitch. Like, the smileys and being able to donate to the channel to get special chat perks and stuff like that. But okay, so there's a bill auction here at the bottom of the hour, I believe. So, 30 seconds or so. We're now back to S&P 500 trades positive on the year. I'm trying to just look at where is the money coming from. One thing we should note is that China injected a little bit of liquidity today. So that might be some of the overnight move, but this daily move just seems a little, I don't know. Let's look at what our daily targets are. Okay. Arizona hospitalizations fell. Arizona hospitalizations fell. Okay. So our next target is 3227. So they're still suggesting that there's more upside potential, but they could peter out before that. So far, I'm not really seeing signs of that, but we should keep that in mind. And we did get a significant amount of absorption at 3217. That's actually a lot. If you dress and drag, I promise you will social media hype this channel 500 live views daily. No, thank you. Number one, I'm never going to dress and drag. And number two, I don't want 500 live views daily. Maybe 500 views over the course of a video would be great. But 500 people watching live, that's more than should ever be watching something like this. Something wrong if that many people are watching. I'm telling you, it always comes down to like, am I self-sabotaging myself here? Saying like, oh, I don't think that there should. No, I'm being serious. We're talking about something that is not fun and is not necessarily entertaining, and that not a lot of people should be doing that. That doesn't really fit the risk profile and the personality profile for a lot of people. So if a ton of people were watching the live streams, then that would be concerning. Now the other videos, I think that there's way more that we can go on that. Like our time frame indicators. Hold up. Okay, so there came in the bill auctions. Gonna get a little bit of flow coming through here. Not too much. Anyways. Like the multiple time frame thing, that's something that I think would be that a lot of retail traders will find really helpful, because the whole multiple time frames things is something that so many of them look at, and the tools that we have make it so effective. So much more effective than what comes with it. So yeah. Those videos should be more popular, but not the live stream. Banks will charge a service fee and leverage more services. They will have to consolidate products. There will be merger mania. Oh, please, I hope not. Expect banks to get into insurance products, life insurance, etc. That's the only thing that makes sense. With a checking account, you get options for car, life, and home insurance all in one. You got to get a dancing bear on a unicycle or awesome strip. You're probably right, Gary. Bless you. It's good latency. That was fast. Freaking a bear. Bear's the man. That bear. I tell you what. I would never be able to perform with a trained bear. Oh, that would be so terrifying. Oh. Man. Okay, well, the E-mini is kind of coming down a little bit, and we're seeing some absorption up in there. So that might be some of the guys that were, some of the market makers absorbing. Did you hear a while back about a pet bear that ate its owners? I can believe it. I can believe it, Sunday. I just can't. Yeah, this is so bad, right? I was just thinking about it. Another thing is, remember that back in like the May timeframe, we were getting like 50 peak viewers a day. So a lot of it just has to do with how many people are interested in the market as well. But I don't know. There's definitely a lot of room for us to grow. If I had been putting out all the videos that we should be, Kudlow is saying there should be another bill. Okay. Well, anyways, extremely believable. We have all-in-one banks. They offer almost everything, and we don't toaster for buying their financial products. Well, the banks are definitely going to have to find new ways to make money. And, a lot of the trading companies are going to have to, there's going to be a lot of changes. Like, just for instance, this thing going on with financial juice, that is just going to throw the news squawk industry on its head, I think. There's going to be so many people that are going to go over to financial juice, I think, and they should be able to make a good product, I hope, with the money that I already have a pretty okay product. And I think with the money that they get, they should be able to make a better interface. And how is that going to affect like Live Squawk and Ran Squawk and stuff? Like, it's going to get crazy. And, everybody in the trading space there's going to be, because you'll get into this time period where it's going to be incredibly range bound, and it's going to be really tough to make money off of that. Okay. Anyways, yeah, on the channel, if I had, we didn't post as many videos as we wanted to because of the baby, and so if we had ourselves to where, like the trading computer video and stuff like that was out, we went and we made all the videos that I wanted to make that I didn't because I was sick, that would have helped the channel a lot. So there was a real missed opportunity, but it's okay. I think we got some good content coming in. This week I just did an easy one because I spent a lot of time on the chicken coop. Maybe next week I might make one about the biggest mistakes that people make. Also, we got to make one about the Quant Tower / Optimus Flow. Still gonna write that. I still need to write that one up first. Anyways, lots more videos coming. I think some of my best videos, like the subjects that I was really, really, really thought I'd be really good at, maybe already through, but who knows what will come up, right? I'm also thinking I need to go through, I'm going to start putting a lot more information down. Like, because there's lots of things that I'll share with you guys that are like, okay, so this is like this metric, and this is this economic number, and this is what it means, and this is like some things that we can remember from the recent history about it. And I should really have that stuff written down. That's what I should have. And I don't think that would necessarily be like a training course, but I do think that we could make that stuff available to people. That would be a lot more useful than a lot of this other nonsense that people do. And yeah, or we could do live education sessions about stuff like that. All of the sudden, it's like, if I'm not doing technical analysis, if I'm actually teaching you stuff about the way that the industry works, all of a sudden it's like, it's a completely different world, in my opinion. Anyways, Sunday, what camera do you use? I have a Canon T6i. Well, the new Canon camera that came out last week looks so cool. But I'm waiting out. I'm hoping that they make a camera that's really good just for streaming. I would like to see one that is relatively cheap camera, but is still kind of like the Z Cam. It's just like a box, that I can add stuff to. Because, there's some things about the way that this camera works that I'm not 100% happy with. But I was able to eventually get it rigged up. Like for starters, it would be really nice to have a USB 3 port that would double as both your data transfer and power the camera. That would be awesome, right? And then I could switch to that, and I could feel more comfortable with letting the kids use this one. I'll let the kids use this one from time to time, but like they need parental supervision and stuff, so they aren't very careful with it. Okay, well, it is 9:40, so I think it's time for me to go. No, I'm having a little bit of trouble dealing with the live squawk in my ear and talking and you guys sometimes. So I'm gonna have to work that out. I think that we can. Would just take a little bit of time to get there. I'm gonna get the Sony Alpha A6. Oh, yeah, that was a good one. The 6100, it's really good for this sort of a thing because it's got the pop-out screen and it has good autofocus that doesn't print stuff on the output. Yeah, it's better for streaming for sure. I didn't know what was best for streaming when I got the T6i. Okay, yeah. Anyways, tomorrow, check out the video. Just watch it and give it a like. Anyways, it helps out the channel. And give this video a like. I appreciate it. And I will see you guys tomorrow. And in the meantime,